Okay, we should be live now.
All right.
So let me just put this on to double check there. Okay, great.
Yeah, I see it here.
Okay, so hello.
Hi. Hi. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Apologies for the time. It didn't affect you, but anyone who is watching who thought they were going to be watching earlier, I apologize. um, okay, so this is just for anyone who's not seen this before. This is interview for people that independent performers, people in the industry, and it's really just to find out what they're up to and also get a live performance, which is nice. So today we've got Mike Cerveni. Is that the right pronunciation?
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Excellent. And so Mike Cerveni is a singer-songwriter from Canada. And I've got, lots of information about the different things that you've done. So I kind of wanted to start with talking about your album, your debut album, The World You Know. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's the first one that I came out with. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of how did you even go about getting an album together? Because is that something that came quite easily? Had you already written a load of the songs, or did you have in mind, I want to do an album?
So I always knew I wanted to do an album. I think what kind of sparked it more to get it done, and when I got it done and released it in 2010, end of 2010, in the winter. So I went through an experience where I lost my mom from cancer, and after all that, I just started writing just whatever was happening in my life, relationships, and of course I wrote a couple songs about her on the album too. And I guess from that experience and those moments that I had, it just I was on a journey to just to. She always believed in my music, and I guess it just sparked more in me to continue that, and I just started writing more songs than I did before, and I knew I had enough to make an album, and I just went from there. And then we have an awesome, a great local recording studio here, and then I made it happen. Yeah.
Fantastic. So that was all you. Did you have anyone else collaborate with you to get this going, or
If
musically, or anything like that?
now I'm trying to think, but I wrote all the songs myself. So what ends up happening when I went to the studio is, yeah, it took a year to make, mostly because it was a busy studio, but we also worked on it for the year and made sure it was perfect. And collaborations, no, I mean I had drummers, one or two. I think just one drummer, a friend of mine, on all of the tracks or most of the tracks, and then the rest it was just my songwriting. So yeah, and then we filled in the rest of the tracks obviously with other instruments that needed, But yeah.
And why The World You Know? Why was that the title? Why did you go for that as the?
Good question. Good question. I haven't been asked that. So the world, is actually a song title on that album, and so I chose that. But I chose that mainly because it reflected, at least not the song itself, but the title of the song reflected, could go either way. So the world that I knew at that time, things that I went through, it reflected that whole album. So I figured the name of that album could be that title, The World You Know.
Yeah, and the song itself, I thought it's a really beautiful song.
Thanks.
And the sound, I think, from listening to some of what your earlier work to listening to some of what you've recorded in the more recent years,
Right.
I felt there was a bit of a difference in the sound and the style, some of the style of the music. It's certainly I guess the context of the songs brings a different energy anyway. But is that something, are you aware of that, or is that intentional, or have you ever thought about that?
Well, obviously the theme is different from the first album to the second album. I feel like the style is pretty much the same. But you're right. I guess it is a little different than the other. There's so much involved, I guess. I guess the songwriting is a little different with the style of the songs. And the theme of the songs, maybe the equipment that we use and things like that, and just the way the instruments sound. But yeah, I'm aware. I'm more aware of the themes that are completely different from the first to the second album. So, but I guess that's important, right? So you grow as a musician and as a songwriter.
Absolutely,
and you're changing the way you're writing, and yeah. So yeah, there's a difference. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess when I say style, I mean the genre. You know, you've got your own style. That is you. I don't mean it changes so differently. I mean just little subtleties in the sounds and but that's part of growing, I guess, as a musician anyway, and the different, things that you'll be experimenting with as you grow. But I think it's really nice to hear those differences as well.
Yeah.
Because it makes the songs what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I've really liked as well is Right Now, and that seems to have gained quite a lot more exposure, your song Right Now.
Yeah, so Right Now, that was really, it opened up a lot of doors ever since when I decided to do a music video for that song specifically. A lot of doors open for different opportunities for shows and just radio interviews and just shows in different areas, even outside of the country. But yeah, so Right Now was a song that I wrote for my mom during her battle with cancer, and I thought it was a powerful song. I was happy how it sounded at the studio, and I just knew that I wanted to make my first music video with that song. And yeah, I did it with at that time local director Gavin Booth, and yeah, it was just basically we had the idea of making it kind of not specifically what the song is about, but kind of in general, I guess, so people can it's just more of an entertaining kind of video, but it has a purpose, it has a storyline in it, and yeah, it's just it was just a fun idea of a superhero who basically somebody that can't help anybody, but they used to help people, and he kind of stopped and didn't believe in himself, and anyway, he got his inspiration or courage back eventually throughout the video, and he was able to help people as much as he could, and that's what he always wanted to do. I guess how that related to what the song is about is seeing somebody or knowing somebody where you wish you could help them, but you can't, but you can in certain little ways, and that means the world to them. You know what I mean? Just kind of, I guess, feeling helpless that you can't really help them, but you do try, and so we kind of worked it around that type of storyline in the video. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is it, isn't it? Those, I guess, incredibly difficult times. That's when we all wish we were superheroes as well. So it's quite,
exactly,
it's a good theme to link to the music. Yeah. And that you speaking about, that particular song and things that inspire your writing. Something that is really lovely about your music is that I said this to you before when I spoke to you previously, that it feels as though it is very much you. It's very much your experiences, your what things that you've gone through or are going through, and that's really lovely, I think, as a listener, because you get to connect with the artist more.
Yeah, you're right. All of my songs are like that. Basically, what I go through. There are some that, and recent ones that are stories about maybe something I've seen elsewhere, and not about me. But most of it, yeah, it's what I go through. Yeah.
Mm. And the event that you got involved in, which was for the women from the shelter. It was part of Capitol Theatre, is that right?
Yeah, we have a theater called Capitol Theatre here in Windsor, and yeah. So the idea for this was just from one song. It was a single that I wanted to release back in 2013 called "What Would You Do." I'm sure it's over there where you are, or you've seen it. There's a show based in the U.S. called "What Would You Do." I don't know if you have anything similar, but basically, it's just actors on the TV show. You don't know they're actors, so it's like kind of a reality show where, let's say you're sitting at a restaurant and you have a couple people sitting there at the table and you witness something saying, maybe somebody stealing a purse, for example, and what would people do in that situation? Many people don't do anything, don't intervene or anything, or it could be any situation. So basically, I remember I was watching the show back in a while ago, 2009, I think, and it inspired me so much. I've never been inspired by a TV show except this. Basically, there was like situations in this episode where, let's say, a homeless man was like, teenagers were kind of bullying him or kind of beating him in a little bit, and people were just walking by and they weren't doing anything. Maybe one or two people would, or let's say a domestic violence, like in a relationship where the guy was getting aggressive towards the girl, and many people just kept walking by and they just looked. They didn't want to get involved, but only a few people did, right? Where in reality, everyone should get involved if you see something where you could help. But I get it. Most, you don't want to, you're either shocked by it or you don't want to, you think it's none of your business, or you just kind of, it's easier to walk away, right? So I literally made the lyrics with that song was based on what I saw in that episode. And I recorded it. I thought it was a powerful song, and I wanted to make an event that benefited domestic violence. There's companies out here that, like women's shelters and stuff like that. So benefit in that area, and just put on a show, but then, have other musicians here in the show. And we had survivor stories as well. And I also performed that song with part of members of the Windsor Symphony here where I live. It was a great experience, and a great cause.
Lovely. Who was behind the event? Who put the event together?
So it was obviously, myself, and I partnered with former Miss Canada, Jacqueline Miles, and she lives here. So, and anyway, she was part of that, part of those organizations as well. And we teamed up together and thought of what we can do, and made a plan, and just went for it. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And the song really does stand out, I think, from a lot of your songs. And the minute, I think it was within the first few lines of the first verse, I was already aware of the message and already thinking about, it does get you thinking about different contexts and what would you do. And it gets, and it's I think it's an important question for us, people to think about, especially now, because I've been listening to different things and reading about different things, and people have spoke about how people are doing more now for their communities than they were prior to what's been going on in the world. So it's kind of that, well, what would you do if, all of a sudden we've got this going on in the world? Well, what would you do to make a difference? What can you do to help people? But these things weren't happening before this was happening, if that makes sense. I also think that song becomes quite relevant in times like now.
Yeah, I think so. And you're right. A lot of people are more helpful right now, especially during this time. So yeah, I think it's very relatable. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that song, especially. So you've done a few different events such as that one, and things to expose your music. So you've been on, was it CTV? Is that right? Was that for Right Now?
That was for right now, mainly just a little interview of the whole album as well, and just talked about my music journey. But yeah, it was just a regional TV station here that we have, and yeah, basically I just reached out to a lot of people and companies and radio stations, and simple email goes a long way, and but getting those certain opportunities like that TV segment. I would say, because I shared that music video quite a lot to different avenues of the industry, and it just opened a lot of doors. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was a great experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. So, what is kind of the best experience you've had musically? Has it been? Would you say, has it been a writing process, or has it been actually performing, maybe a live performance you've done somewhere? What stands out to you as being something that you really had a great experience from and maybe learned a lot from as well?
It's a good question. I think maybe I haven't really thought about it. You just asked me. Let me think here. So there's just a few areas that, a few things that pop in my head. One, I was able to... or a couple actually, in Serbia. I was in Serbia visiting family, but I had the opportunity to perform there a couple times. That was really great. They have the people there they enjoy independent music a lot more, I find. I don't know if it's because it's less saturated. I'm sure it's saturated over there with a lot of artists, but I felt like they appreciated it more. Maybe because it was a smaller, audience or whatever, but it was a great experience. I haven't performed there before. I thought that was awesome. But I also had a TV interview there, which was quite crazy. And I know the language, but I can't speak it, so it was just like they were speaking to me in not in English, but I was answering in English. So it was a crazy experience that I haven't had before. So that was pretty cool. It aired on TV over there. But one thing that pops in my head as well is just performing. We have it's called Run for the Cure. So it's like a big, like you're racing, you're running, and but there's over 1,000 people, and I performed before the race started, and I performed there I think 2 times throughout the years, 2 or 3 times. But songs that are related to people battling cancer and things like that, and so performing there was I found that very what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Maybe you can help me. But
do you feel because it was something in a way that you could relate to, because what you'd had, was it a bit therapeutic in a way almost, because it was people that...
Well, maybe, and people that also, know of people going through things like that were there. So it was just, I would say, I just enjoyed being there. Maybe it's something they need to hear and stuff like that. So it was a great experience for that. Yeah. And, but yeah, I would say those experiences were really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. And it says on your bio actually that you come from quite a musical family.
Yeah, that's correct. So a lot of my, it's mostly on my dad's side. They're all pretty much, they all make music in some way. So, yeah. So I guess that's how I got it.
So were you around that? Were they playing or anything when you were a child, or?
I would say I was around it a lot. My grandpa used to play a lot of guitar around, the family, and I was always around it. And I remember seeing like home videos back when I was very little and just kind of, pretending to play. Obviously, I didn't know how to play, but yeah, I was around it for sure, especially because of my grandpa. Yeah.
Mm. And how did you learn? Did you learn from like actually learning to play and things like that? Did you go to lessons? Did anyone in your family teach you, or?
So I started when I was 11 playing guitar. I did go through lessons for a few years, not long, and then I kind of just stopped and kept, like, I remember going through CDs of just from my ear, just learning all the albums that I wanted to. A lot of it at that time was like Green Day and Blink 182 and all that stuff, but I was literally learning the songs perfectly, and just spending hours in my room just trying to, do that. But then at the same time, I think I was 16, I wrote my first song, and then it just went from there. And I just wanted to understand, how do you write a song? How does it happen? And everybody, I hear everyone, I've been asked by a few people, how do you write a song? Like, how does it happen? And I never understood that when I was young. And I just didn't get it. How come it sounds so bad, right? When you're trying to write a song in the beginning, if you don't really write songs. But then I guess as you practice, you don't know you're practicing really songwriting. You just keep writing bad songs, and then you think they're all good. But as long as you go through that and go through those motions, I guess you just figure it out, and then it becomes better. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And do any of your family members still play now, or is it mainly just you that's the music?
So I have family a little all over. Not really. Well, I have family in Serbia and family here, but I have a cousin in Serbia who is performing. She's a singer and she's in a band, and so I guess so. Yeah. So her, and just a lot of my cousins here, they're musical. They're not really performing or anything, but they can sing. They're just not like going out to shows and performing or making songs or songwriting like myself. But yeah, they're still musical for sure.
Yeah. And have you ever experienced a real block, a real time where you've just not really been able to create, or had that? And how did you get through that? How did you break through that
Yeah, that's a good question. I think maybe not like a writer's block or something, but just being busy more than usual in the last few years. I got married in 2013, and then in 2017, my wife and I we had a baby, and so now he's 3, Liam, and so like within the last 3 years or so, it's been busier than usual, but.
Of course, yeah.
But I've been able to write, recently now as he's a little older, and I actually wrote a song about him, which is on the new album, which we haven't talked about yet. But yeah, so the writing process has been going the last few years, but it definitely has been busier than before, especially in my 20s when I had the first album, a whole different life I had, I guess, right? So it was just easier to write and do certain things that you wanted to do. But now it's a different stage in my life, and I love it. But yeah, it's been busier. So there was an area where, it was a little bit less writing or music performing and stuff like that I've been doing, but it's getting there now. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's good to know. It's not through lack of creativity or having that, because sometimes writers, they'll just go through a period where they can't get they can't think of the things to write, or they can't get the creativity going. But yours was through circumstance. So and then all, as you say, the change in your life has then given you the next inspiration.
Songs,
so
yeah.
That leads you on to your next album. So as you just said yourself, it's very different to
yeah. So I mean, and a lot of the songs on the new album, which is a self-titled album, there's songs about when I met my wife, Melanie, and just all the experience with that, because I met her in Serbia on a vacation. And so there's a lot of songs about that. There's some songs about, new songs about that I wrote for my mom as well. And a song about Liam called Everything's For You. And but that was, that was written later when he was born. So there's a lot of anywhere from like 2013 to 2017 of songs. So it's a big, to me, they're not really fresh songs anymore. They're old to me, right? But when I released it, I just realized how much of just all those years of writing songs randomly, I guess, throughout the years, and I just combined it because it is the same theme. It was the same theme, and it fit well for the album. Yeah, and the single that I released off the album, it was called Forever, and I I wrote that. That was an interesting song because that was the last song that I had included on the album, or the last song that I went to record for the album, because it was missing. It was missing. I wanted 10 songs. There was 9. And I'm like, I need that 10th. Maybe because I had 10 songs on the first album. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do 10 again. But so my cousin, I have a cousin in Germany, and I haven't seen him. Like he's older than me, like 20 years older than me. And I haven't seen him in years, maybe 15 years. I don't know, 15 years. I'm just throwing out a number. But I remember I was like, 13. Again, I'm throwing out a number, 13, 14 years old maybe, when I saw him last. And I remember he's a guitar player. He's like a rock guitar player. He's like shreds on the guitar. He does a lot of solos, and he's amazing at that. But I remember I was touching his guitar when I was like very young. And I told him too, I'm like, you didn't like me touching your guitar, but I just remember that experience. And, great guy, but I haven't seen him in years. And then I think 3 years ago, I forget, close to 3 years ago, he came to visit Canada and our family here for the first time, which was awesome. It was the first time. And at that time, I didn't see him for years. And during that time, that period when he came over, I was going to the studio a few times. Like studio sessions were booked, and I needed some solo guitars or lead guitars, and I knew I don't do them. I'm more of a rhythm, and I knew that needed to be done. So I'm like, hey, why don't you just pop in the studio? And he was on, a couple of the tracks on the new album, which after like 15 years, you don't see the guy, and now a family member, he's part of your new album, right? And we connected very well musically, and so that was really great. Like, you don't think that would happen, and it did, and we loved it. And so when he came to visit a second time around, soon after, a few months after, he's like, Mike, I have this song idea. He gave me 4 chords, and I made up a melody kind of on the spot, the chorus of the melody for Forever, and the lyrics a little bit. And then he left eventually, but we knew we had something special and with a song. And months passed by. I ended up going to my wife and I and Liam, who was a baby at the time. We were going to go to Serbia to visit her family and my family. And I went to Germany for like a week. I forget, a week or two. I think a week. But so we made the plan to book studio time there to do some pre-production mainly, but also record it there and see how everything sounds. And I didn't have the song done at that time. And I'm on the plane, and I'm like, oh, I have to get it done. I didn't finish it on the plane. Of course, I finished it at the studio on the couch that they had sitting there, and I had a migraine. I had a terrible headache. I'm like, why that day? Like all the days I was there, it was fine. And like I felt sick. I just, when you have a bad headache, but I had to finish it because we had time booked, and I'm in Germany. So I finished it. I'm glad how it turned out, and it was great. So yeah, I was just super happy to do that with him there and see how the song sounded, and then we brought that project back here, and then I recorded it and finalized it here. And so, but yeah, it all became from nothing, something very small to something very big, right? And from his idea, from 4 chords, from a guy I haven't met back like 15 years ago, you know what I mean, a family member, and we just connected musically. It was just like it had to happen, but we would never have guessed it, right? So it was cool. So that was the last song. I knew that's what the album needed, and so I'm happy with that.
Oh, it's fantastic. That's such a lovely story as well, because it's such a beautiful song, and obviously it means so much anyway, because it is about.
Oh yeah, I didn't even say, but yeah.
So it's already got that, lovely theme and the context of it. So to hear that it's a family member as well just makes it even more special. So that's really great.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't say it, but the song, is about how my wife and I met and just the story with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I'm glad you told that, because I was going to ask you why Germany, because I saw obviously that you'd recorded it there, so you've explained, so that makes sense. So do you think there'll be more? Do you think you could collaborate? Yeah,
We
him
always,
again.
yeah, we always talk about it. We talk here and there, on the internet and just video calls and stuff like that. But yeah, he always has ideas, more ideas than I ever do, really, I think, at least with certain guitar progressions and guitar chords and stuff like that. But yeah, he's an exciting kind of guy. So when he has an idea with music, with the guitar, it's like we have to work on it. And sometimes it works out. Sometimes I'm not really into it. Sometimes, it's different than other songs. So then it just sparks more of that. Okay, this is something special, right? So yeah, there's always opportunity, and we would love to do more. Yeah.
And speaking of like collaboration, sorry, I was just looking because there's a question on here actually, and I meant to say that as well. If anyone has got any questions for Mike, please put them on the comments, and then we can. But there is one question. What's the name of the new album? You said it's
self-titled. So yeah, there's no name. It's just Mike Cerveni and then Mike Cerveni, right? So it's self-titled.
Yeah. So it is Mike Cerveni.
Yeah, 2019. It'll say yeah.
Yeah, and seeing as that's a question, what made you go with a self-titled album this time?
I didn't know what to call it. That's really, I'm like, really? So I didn't know what to call the first album. I remember, I'm like, I don't know what to call it. But then I thought, some people, some bands or albums that come out, it's the song title of one of the songs, right, of the album sometimes. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can do that. And it made more sense at that time because The World You Know made me think, okay, The World I Know. So all the experiences I went through and everything combined into the album. So it worked out that way. But I didn't feel like any of the song titles on the new album reflected something as a whole. And so let's just do self-titled. So
yeah, no, that's fair enough. And it comes from you, so why not?
Yeah.
You said about the song for Liam. Is it that Everything's for You?
Yeah, that's for him. I was sitting on the edge of the bed. He was young, I don't know, maybe 8 months or something, and he wasn't on the bed. I don't know where he was, but I remember I was on the edge of the bed with my guitar, and I'm like, I want to write something. I knew I wanted to write something for him. And what am I going to write? Like, the songs I write are dramatic, I guess, like dramatic sounding in some way. They're not like kid or like pop songs or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, but let me just do what I do. So I wrote something, some chords, some melody that it just popped in my head right away. And it turned out to be Everything's for You, how it sounds in that recording. And, I like it, but he loves it. So ever since he was younger, up until now when he's 3, he sings it. He knows it's his song. He sings the chorus and the verse. He's speaking well now, but not every single word. But he knows the chorus, and every time we're in the car, he just wants to hear it, and he calls it you yeah.
Oh,
he's like, I want to hear you yeah, and because that's part of the chorus in there, and so he's super cute with that. But yeah, that's what that song is.
That's so nice, yeah, and it is really lovely, and you can almost tell it is for your son, for a child, the way it's the melodic tone of it and the repeating of the phrase you, because it is something he can join in with. So it is, I thought it was a really sweet song.
I didn't think, that's a good point. I didn't think of that when I was writing it, but it's catchy enough for him to remember, so that's good.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think he'll have a bit of a music bug? I mean, he's very young now, but does he enjoy kind of listening to different bits of music on?
I think so. He definitely enjoys listening to his song and other, even What Would You Do? I forget what he calls it, but he mentioned to me, he's like, I want to hear that song. He didn't say I want to hear that song. That would be amazing, him talking like that. But he mentioned to me, he's like, he wanted to hear I forget what he called What Would You Do, but I knew it was that, and I'm like, how did you know that song? And it was just playing a few times in the car, but we never talked about it. But anyway, so if he's going to be musical, you're asking. I think so. He loves drumming, so anytime I'm like drumming on my legs or whatever, he's dancing, or he's like drumming like with me, like, you know what I mean? So I think he has it in him. I just don't know, how far that'll go, but hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. I just wanted to ask about with the creative process again, because you said about, being in Germany and that pressure almost to get that song finished when you were in the recording studio.
Yeah.
So when you're writing or when you're creating, does it matter what environment you're in, or does it matter? Because for me, I'm the sort of person, I have to have quiet. I have to be in my own space. I can't have people around me if I'm writing. I can't have any distraction. And a situation like you described would have been a nightmare for me, probably.
Yeah. I was. It wasn't that hectic. Like it was just the owner of the studio who was recording us and my cousin. His name is Vlasto, and so yeah, it was just the two of them, and yeah, they were talking and stuff. I'm just trying to, like, I had the craziest headache that I guess nothing was really what can bother me. Like, my head was already hurting, so I was just kind of sitting there on the couch knowing I had to finish the lyrics. I guess under pressure I had no choice, and the way I was feeling wasn't ideal, right? It's not something you want to start writing when you don't feel good. But yeah, like, quiet, obviously in a quiet room would help a lot. And do I have to be anywhere specific, or have like, not really. Sometimes ideas and stuff like that come to me wherever I am, right? You could be in the shower, you could be in the washroom, like, it doesn't matter. But as far as like sitting down, making sure, you have dedicated time, do you have your quiet time in writing? I'm sure it makes a difference, but I guess under pressure, in the studio over there in Germany, I had no choice. So, yeah.
Sorry, I keep muting because it's rather loud.
I hear you now. Okay.
Going on over here. I've got people selling things in the street, and they've got microphones because in Istanbul, that's what they do. They sell in the street. Wow. So that's why I keep muting every now and again. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Obviously, yeah, if you're in the situation, you have to get it done, then you do. So, yeah. So is there, in the circumstances that we're in now, obviously I'm sure you're at home more, most of us. Have you found that you've been more creative? Have you been having the space and time to do some writing and things?
Yeah, I have, definitely. So I am coming out with a new single. It's called Shooting Star. And, well, the song's about my mom as well, but it can be very relatable to many situations for people at the same time. So that's basically, at this time, that's what I'm focusing on. I was supposed to do a so the song's not released yet, but I was supposed to do a music video in Detroit, beginning of April. And it's going to be fantastic. We have such a big storyline for it, and I just can't wait to get started on it. But obviously now the borders are closed, and I can't go there. We don't live far. We live like 20 minutes away from the border. So that's really what my main focus is. After everything is, better and we can go there and everything, that's the next thing that I'm working on, and releasing the song with a video. And but yeah, I've definitely had more time to do some writing and just practice, perfecting that song. And the song's recorded and everything. So I did go to the studio a couple months ago and finished it. So, but the thing is, I wanted to release it during this time. I'm like, I wish I could release the song, but before all this stuff happened, like a few weeks before, the producer at the studio was like, okay, you got to come in, we got to retrack maybe the last line of the song or something, add some harmonies. I'm like, okay. But then, everything kind of, the situation that we're in now, we can't go anywhere. I can't go there. So now I literally have to wait until all this is kind of done and lifted so we can continue to go to the studio and just finalize stuff. But yeah, that's my next thing. That's my next focus. And yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's good. Do you think that with what's going on, because this has impacted obviously a lot of industries and a lot of different people all around the world, and I was talking about this last week in regards to the theatre industry, obviously, because theatres are closed and stuff, but music has been thriving kind of before this online and starting to make more of an online presence. So
Even
do you
now,
think
yeah.
this will impact the music industry in any positive
Even
or negative ways, or
during or after?
after, kind of when,
I think I'm sure everything will go back to normal, but when like our mindset, right? So who's going to go to? I'm sure people want to go to concerts even now, but not even concerts. Just let's say everything opens up. Are we going to feel comfortable going the amount of times that we go, let's say, to a movie theater or to a store? Obviously, we have to go to stores to get food, but you know what I mean? In those situations, how much are you actually going to go? Even after they say the virus is gone, are we going to feel comfortable to do that many times, or maybe not at all? So will there be concerts? Probably. Is it going to happen soon? Probably not. So I think it'll be affected, especially larger gatherings. Like concerts are huge, or can be bigger, right? And those won't be happening, I think, right away this year, maybe next year. So I'm sure the online presence of a lot of even famous musicians, I think it's still going to be happening. I think that's a great avenue. I think that's even better than, obviously, people are saving money. They get to see, their favorite songwriters and bands and just see them at home, right? So I think it'll be there will be it'll be affected in a certain way. I just don't know for how long, right?
yeah. I've got another question on here. So would you encourage your son to go into sometimes very challenging would you, right, sorry, I understand it now.
Okay.
Would you encourage your son maybe to go into the same kind of, music or singing, as it can be a challenging industry, obviously, or it can be a challenging...
Yeah, that's a good question. I would, anything that he's into, I would definitely encourage him with. So that's what I always thought. And yeah, I mean, you could see early on and throughout his life how he's going to be with music. I know, basically, because I know, right? I know, he's just randomly maybe going to he's going to start making songs. Hopefully they're good songs. And so, like, and just kind of thinking in that direction, yeah, it's easier to encourage by seeing that type of progress. And so and based on my experience, I know where that could lead, and so that could be a future for him. So yeah, definitely, I would encourage him in that way, and or anything he does. Yeah.
Yeah. So and also, I think it's just the beauty of it, even if it's not something that someone wants to do as a career or anything, just to be involved in something creative is good for a person, I think, generally.
Yeah, it's a great outlet, right? And so, get your feelings out or anything you're going through. It's, someone, some people write, do paintings, whatever, artistic. And so, yeah, it definitely helps you a lot.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, before you give us a performance today, is there any, I mean, this is a tricky one, but because all your work, I'm sure you'll be proud of, and and it's all good songs, it's all good work. But is there any that particularly is, a song or even the album that you're most proud of, that you most feel has shown you, if when you would, if you weren't here, that you would say, this is what Mike Cerveni did, this is really what he wanted people to see or hear?
Yeah. Wow. Well, there's just a few songs that kind of pop in my head when you're saying that. I can't really pick one. So you're right. I'm proud of all I guess everyone would be proud of everything they make, right?
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, it's a good question. It's hard to, like, I can pick some songs to say which ones I'm really proud of. Like I Do was our wedding song, and so that's on the new album. So and when I say that, I mean the writing process, how it happened, how the melody is, how it sounded at the end during the recording at the recording studio. So just the production of it. So things like that I look back on and say, okay, this is maybe one of my best work. But it's not just only that song, you know what I mean? There's What Would You Do, which is something special that kind of just happened, and the way it sounds. I would say right now, see, that's the thing, I'm picking a few songs. I don't know if you wanted me to pick one, but I would say What Would You Do? I Do, what did I say? Right now.
Yeah, right now.
There's actually a song that I love. It's called A Miracle, and that's on the first album. So certain songs are kind of more special to me. Obviously, they're all special to me, but certain ones stand out to me because they're maybe a little bit more different than maybe some of the other songs. So that's why I'm choosing that. And then also the one you haven't heard yet, and you're not going to hear it yet, but it's called Shooting Star. And I think that's another special one.
Well, we will hear it. Don't say we're not going to. Just we will, just not yet.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I mean, there's a few that kind of stand out, but that's what I try to do. I try to make songs that I know they're studio worthy, I guess. Like I can tell already, like if I can make 10 different songs and like one or two are really good. So ones that stand out to me, I have to be really proud of them, and so because I know, then what's the point? I guess I don't know. The more songs you make, the more you have an ear for knowing which one is better than the other. So you just you want to be proud of it, and then it can kind of go further from there. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So would you mind performing for us today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So this song, it's so funny because I finished it yesterday. Just the second verse. So it wasn't like I finished the whole song, but the song is done. And it's called New World. And I just decided, why not just do something that's kind of relatable with the time that we're living in now. And it's I'm excited to show you. And it's not something I recorded or anything or released. So hopefully maybe I will, after all this. And I'll play it for you. So
this is very exciting because it hasn't been played or sung for, and it's only just been finished. So
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm going to plug something in here, and I'll be right back.
Great. I'll put myself on mute so it doesn't impact the sound.
What were you saying? Oh, you were going to mute it or something?
I'm muted, yeah.
Okay. Can you hear the guitar? Cool. We are living in a world so unknown. When will we learn just how far we can go? Never taking for granted everything we have, forgetting the ones who matter. Tell them while you can. Welcome to a new world. Welcome to a place where we once belonged. Welcome to a new way. Letting go of everything that you ever known. When will we change and fight for what we know? Welcome to a new world. Welcome to a place where we once known. We are living in a place where we don't know where we'll Will there be a tomorrow? Never taking for granted everything we have. Forgetting the ones who matter. Tell them while you can. Welcome to a new world. Welcome to a place where we once belonged. Welcome to a new way. Letting go of everything that you ever known. When will we change and fight for what we know? Welcome to a new world. Welcome to a place where we once known. There you go.
Ooh, lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was very, very nice. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. So, I think it'll be a cool song to start recording and kind of do production on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, welcome to a new world. Who knows? Will it be? You know, it's as you say, it's very current. It is about now, and it is the question in everyone's minds, I think. So.
Exactly. So, that's why I thought it would be a good thing to play today. But yeah, for sure. I'm so glad you had me on the show today. Yeah, thank you.
No, we're really pleased to have had you come on today, and it's the first time we've had an instrument with someone singing as well, because a lot of the singers have used backing tracks. So that's been really beautiful to have the guitar playing, you know, as well. But, you know, really looking forward to what you continue to do. And I have put a link on this post for people to your website. So please, you know, do have a look at Mike's website, and you can see the album links on there. And there's plenty of your music on YouTube as well. So
yeah,
I hope that everyone will have a listen, because it's really worth listening to. It's beautiful music. I really do recommend it, and I think it's something for everyone. Everyone can connect in a different way as well.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Great. And one last thing I will say to anyone watching, there is a link on this page for the WHO Fund if anyone wants to make a donation, because the page is in support of obviously the health workers around the world. So that is there as well. And so thank you for today.
Thank you so much for having me again. Yeah.
And good luck with all your new material and everything that you do.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Great, and you.